96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Is sponsored by First Caribbean Bank, the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, Burger King, Fidelity Bank Bahamas, and J.S. Johnson.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Heather Hunt. I am the guest host this afternoon of the Hit Back, and I'm just so happy to be here on this windy Wednesday. I mean, I got pretty soaking wet coming in here. That weather just came out of nowhere, but you know, this is some of that post-Valentine Day weather, I think. So anybody who didn't get to cuddle up under the one they love on Valentine's, maybe you could cuddle up under someone else you love tonight in this windy and wet Wednesday. But I'm just so happy to be here on the Hit Back, and I got a lot of things to discuss this afternoon, one of my favorite topics. So surprise, surprise, we're talking politics this afternoon. And there's lots going on, and our focus this afternoon is the Free National Movement and their upcoming convention. So we have several guests that we're going to speak to today, and of course we'd like participation of the audience. We'll open the phone lines a little later on in the show. But just to put everything into context of what we're going to be talking about today, the Free National Movement, of course, is now Her Majesty's loyal opposition. We all know was resoundingly defeated in the last election in September of 2021. But right now, the FNM is in a period of regrouping and rebuilding. And it's in that context, and also in the context of celebrating 50 years as an organization, that they are going to put on a convention firstly for their delegates and internal matters, but also for the general public. And that's going to be taking place next week. And so the guests that are on our show are going to talk to you and I about what we can hear from this convention, what we're expecting, and exactly why is it that you and I need to be paying attention and listening to what the Free National Movement has to say just a few months after the defeat of 2021. So joining me first up, we have our very able and noted attorney, Don Saunders. He's the former MP of the constituency of Tall Pines, most recently served as the Deputy Speaker of the House under the last FNM administration. I know he is running for office as well in this convention. So, Don, I'm so happy to have you here with me this afternoon.
Well, Heather, it's always a pleasure to be here at Guardian Radio. Congratulations on your new and very exciting I wouldn't call it a post, but you're
right. Well, I'm a guest host, so I'm enjoying Wednesdays, yeah. And let's see what happens from there. And I must say, I'm enjoying listening to the variety of ladies every week. Just to shout out to all the ladies. Power to the ladies. I'm a women's, girls girl. So I got to give it up publicly for all the ladies. I've been listening to wonderful shows so far. Okay. So I'm out here on Wednesdays, but thanks.
Thank you so much. Yeah, as you said, we're in FNM. We're celebrating 50 years of a part as being a party in this great Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Many success stories several times as government of the Bahamas. Obviously, as you noted, we're now serving as opposition, but we intend to be a very aggressive, very efficient loyal opposition, to be able to provide to the Bahamian people the service they expect from our members of parliament, both in the House and in the Senate. And so our new leader has already demonstrated, I think, to not only the FNM party, but indeed the Bahamas, his ability to be able to re-energize the party, to restructure the party, and we'll see that by next week when we have the full slate of our officers elected, and to be able to already move around the country I had the privilege of visiting Carmichael constituency a few days ago, and he spoke about the vision and how he wants us as a party to prepare the government and how he wants, more specifically, our associations to be able to function under his leadership. And so next week's convention is going to be very pivotal to that move in moving the party back in the direction that I think we need to be in to regain the government. And so, yes, we're going to be having elections for all of our offices, our chairman, our deputy chairmen.
Except the leader, because we already
yes,
had,
I notably
that
did.
one.
I
Yes.
made it
Yeah.
clear that we didn't say the leader. We already elected a leader in a very exciting convention. So we're going to do the deputy leader, the chairman, the deputy chairmen, the vice chairmen, treasurer, secretary generals, etc. All of the officers of the parties will be elected next week. And so that's going to be a very important time for the party, because following the next week, we will be able to have a full gambit of leaders, of officers for the party. And so we'll be able to have that reach not only in New Providence, but obviously have that reach throughout Freeport and other Family Islands. And so we're excited about next week. Our Family Island delegates are excited. We had a chance to travel to some of the islands, even with yourself. And Freeport, we had a chance to visit Freeport. And they're excited about what's going to be happening. And so not only we're going to be electing new officers, obviously, but we're also going to be discussing issues that's very important to the party and its further development. And so those sessions will be obviously under a different structure than we normally have it. Bahamians are used to conventions with thousands of persons in a hall, a lot of partying, a lot of exciting debates among the delegates. Obviously, due to the COVID restrictions, we're going to have a more structured system where maybe a lot of the discussions will be obviously in control areas and via the internet, etc. And so, yes, we're going to be very much in tune to see what our delegates would be sharing on the convention floor or via the internet. However, we intend to reach out to them and how we intend to communicate. And so this is going to be a different convention, but it's going to be just as important as any convention we've had in the past. And so I also want to say that the Bahamian public, but more specifically to my F&M delegates, that yes, I'm running for deputy chairman of the party. I think it's safe for me to say that we have a full list of persons running. And I want to say to every delegate, I've had a chance, as I said, to visit some of the islands, visit Grand Bahama. I want to say to delegates in Nassau, we have had functions, and you've heard my vision and plan to help build associations. And I want them to vote for me. I want their support, but most importantly, as a politician, we always say we want that vote.
I understand that. Let me ask you another question, Don. So the theme of the convention is Forward United.
Yes.
That is the theme also that current leader Pintard, that's the campaign that he ran and the leadership, recent leadership convention, and was successful. So I'd like you to tell me, will the F&M be united after this convention?
I think so. I think as in every political parties, there are different groups of action, if you want to call them, but I think the F&M has always survived. That's why one of the things when we talk about the F&M, the Free National Movement has always been viewed as a movement. And so, yes, we have persons with different interests, but at the same time, all of us as F&M have one particular interest, which is to create a party that could win the election and govern the Bahamian people. And that's the most important thing. So I think that we're going to come out of this convention united, because I've already seen since the last leadership election, through the convention, that persons have already started to demonstrate a sense of unity and excitement about trying to rebuild the party. And so, yes, it's going to be not only united, but you use the word forward.
Forward United.
And so, yes, in our unity, we're going to try to move the party forward. And as a result, I hope in 4 to 5 years, we'll be able to move the country forward with an F&M government. And so, yes, every delegate at every convention we have these exciting debates. We have making recommendations, obviously, for amendments to our Constitution. We have persons making recommendations for senior members of the parties, our MCMs, various council members, who are most senior members of our party and having them elected, having other, as I said, elections for other offices. And so we're going to have those heated debates. But at the end of the day, we're going to do so, I think. And my history of being involved in frontline politics in FNM from 2001 has always been that, notwithstanding the heated debates, and I would say not only the heated debates, but the debates that really that cause us to modernize our party, that cause us to want to revisit how we, just even the last convention, I think we were able to increase the amount of delegates, for example, the young persons. We talk about how the FNM want to engage young persons. And through our last convention, for example, we were able to say, listen, every delegation from each constituency, you need to have at least one delegate that's under 30 years old. And I think that spoke well to what our mentality is for young people and helping build a party moving forward. And so, yes, we're going to have these new innovative ideas on the floor of the convention, and I look forward to those debates. And I look forward to, and I want to congratulate in advance those members who will become MCMs at the party.
Yeah. Well, Don, 50 years is a very long time, and 50 years is older than both you and I. I don't know if you're almost there. I'm not anywhere near there. I'm not trying to rush to get there. But 50 years is a very long time, and thankfully the organization is celebrating 50 years. And during this period, this convention, but also for the remainder of the year, as any organization would reflect on such a long time of being in existence. One of the key themes coming out of the convention would be honoring your past, yes, and also celebrating your achievements as an organization as you, of course, go ahead to shape the future. So what would you say to, FNMs out there who, want to participate, want to reflect on this milestone moment, remind some of the FNMs there, why is it that this party with such a rich history of 50 years old, what are the accomplishments? Why should we be honoring our past, or why should we be celebrating our achievements?
Oh, definitely. 50 years is a long time for the Bahamas and for the Caribbean politics, for party. And yes, I think when I become the one of the deputy chairmen of the party,
I'm speaking it.
I'm speaking it.
Okay.
I'm speaking it. That's one of the things I want to do, because as you would very well know, we have two deputy chairmen. One is normally responsible for assisting the chairman in the Family Islands. One is normally responsible for the constituencies in New Providence. But wherever I'm posted, that's one of the things I want to be able to focus on as we re-energize and re-establish our associations to try to talk to them about our rich history, from the Dissident Eight to our involvement. And I always remind persons in the other party that some of our stars, some of our heroes in FNM began there and was a part of this movement of what we see as that older Bahamas, and when we moved into modernization Bahamas. So some of our leaders in our party was a part of that. Maurice Moores, the folks, Arthur Folks, Tommy Turncrest, Daddy, the senior. And so those persons were a part of that. And so we want to be able to share with our FNMs and with all persons, actually, the rich history we have. We, in 1992, was able to defeat the PLP for the first time and introduce so many new reformative policies in the Bahamas, strengthen local government, and empowered more women in parliament and politics in general. We were able to cause these airwaves to be open, that we could have these type of discussions in various different formats now, in different radio stations, TV stations. We were able to put a serious emphasis on family island development. I would have grown up, I would have done high school in Exuma, spent a lot of time in Grand Bahama, and I was able to experience and see how the FNM was able to cause developments in these family islands at levels that I still don't think we've been able to do, particularly between 92 and 97. And we could go on and list the various accomplishments in education, free education at UB and other institutions, and the list goes on. But we have to be able to, as FNMs, be able to celebrate that. And I think this is a great opportunity as we celebrate 50 years to be able to educate our members and educate the Bahamian people about the great success that we've had over 50 years. we have established in our own headquarters. We started to. If you pass the F&M quarters, you will see headquarters. You'll see photos of our leaders on the windows. If you go inside, you'll see that we're starting this project. We're continuing to build on it to have that information available for our members and for even students to come into our headquarters and get that information from our own personal F&M archives and by just photos and stories on our walls throughout the headquarters. And I think we are going to continue that in that vein to make sure that we know our history. And so as deputy chairman, I look forward to every constituency welcoming me, and I would be happy to welcome them when they come to Nassau from the Family Island to have the discussions of how we could further in this aim to learn more and also to be able to grow and move, as you said, united moving forward. So yes, that's going to be a central part of my job as deputy chairman. I was going to say speaker.
Well, you've been out of office now for a few months, as have the majority of the members that have been voted out this last time. So how have you found it reacclimating to not being the deputy speaker?
It's been interesting. I'm back in my legal practice full time. And so Saturdays, weekends, you find yourself wondering, you're waking up thinking, oh, well, do I have to go to the streets of Tall Pines with church service I have to go do with function? But I still go through the community a bit. I just spoke to one of the community leaders yesterday and trying to help the churches in some activities. As a parliamentarian, as deputy speaker, I still visit Parliament. I have to, the clerk and others there I see on a constant basis as I go back and forth court. And
Has there been a real legislative agenda since the government changed, in your opinion?
No, I would say that they have been on some low-hanging fruits that I wish that we had. I was in the Senate last week where, for example, they were tabling the resolution for a committee, special select committee from the Senate and the House to look at the management and affairs of Parliament. One of the things that myself as deputy speaker and the former speaker and the clerk of the House really was spearheading during our term. I think it's no secret that the speaker and I was all over the place and in Parliament speaking to those issues, the necessity for us to modernize our Parliament, the necessity for us to really strengthen the office of the Speaker, making it more independent, making the clerk of the House, for example, the accounts officer, as in other ministries where the PS is the accounts officer. And so that moves into developing the Parliament and modernizing it. And so yes, this particular government has been able to pick on those things and some other things, just the COVID issues we're experiencing now. Those are some of the things that we were in the process of doing. I think freeing up the community. They're going to say open up the community a little bit, easing restrictions.
Yes.
We had tabled a bill just before Parliament was dissolved, a piece of legislation that would have made the Ministry of Health more involved in the process, health services. And so, yes, they have tabled those, but I haven't seen a very strong agenda. They've been in office now for several months now, and I think saving apart from opening community from COVID, and we have experienced some of the effects of that, and some of the debates that's being had in terms of who could have concerts, etc., and all these separate things. But at the end of the day, I think we did a good job. I think the speaker and I did our very best in our office as speaker and deputy speaker, and we tried to educate our colleagues and educate the country about the importance of moving our Parliament forward and putting it in a position where it could better serve our communities. And so, let's wait for another 4 years to be able to serve either the people of Tall Pines or wherever, or in whichever capacity. You don't have to be in Parliament to serve in a political role. I just want to continue to be a part of building this country. As a young Bahamian, as you know, you have opportunities where you could have stayed in England, I could have stayed in Canada, but I wanted to come back and help my country, and I'm privileged and very happy that the people of Tall Pines gave me that opportunity to serve for those 4 years, and I look forward to serving the Bahamas for another term or two. But right now, at this moment, I'm focused on the F&M convention and winning this deputy chairmanship.
Dawn, what do you say then to persons who, may want to, we know, and everyone who's analyzed results of the last election, that there are quite a few persons who were known to be F&M in the past who stayed at home. Is this a convention for them? What do you say to that group of persons?
This is a convention for them. I want to be straight up at that. This is a convention for not only people like myself who's hot, but this is for those constituents of mine who, and for my former constituents of Tall Pines who stayed away from the polls, who we knew are F&Ms, who we knew benefited from our leadership over the last 4.5 years. But they stayed from the polls for some reasons, for some reason or the other. And the statistics will demonstrate that. I want to say to them, though, that I want you to take this opportunity to have another look at the Free National Movement, have another look at our leadership team, and have another look at our plans as we move to unite and move our party forward. This is an opportunity, too, for you to engage. Through this convention, there will be social media and mechanisms by which you can engage yourself in our discussions. And I think over the next few days, that type of information will be made available. But I think I want to speak to those persons, Heather. I'm happy you raised that, because that is something that really caused us this election heavily. F&M's, persons on the fence, as we call them, independent voters, they stayed away from the polls, and they stayed away from voting for us. They didn't vote for us, and we want to say to them, listen, we're pressing the reset button for the F&M. We're proud of our history. We're proud of the accomplishments we were able to do over the last 50 years. We understand, like every party in this country, where we didn't do everything perfect. And no party's going to be able to do everything perfect. But we want to say we have a new leader who we have a lot of confidence in. I have a lot of confidence in him. I think the party has a lot of confidence in him. And we want to say give us another look, and you can look forward to, I can say this with confidence, that you can look forward to after our convention next week, to an F&M team that's going to be re-energized and going out in our communities. You're going to look forward to a leadership team within the F&M that's going to be willing to speak with you and mediate those issues that we might have had in the past in terms of our community leadership, in terms of our individual connections with persons that we might have lost. And so I say that every weekend is our convention. Next weekend is a time where we're going to press our reset button. And next weekend, we're going to come out in the following week with a leadership team that's going to be united, and that's going to be moving the F&M forward.
Dawn, it was such a pleasure to have you on this afternoon. We're going to take a break, but there's lots more when we come back, so please stay tuned. You're listening to The Hit Back.
Beulah, gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood.
We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too?
Of course we can.
But we could be in deep trouble if they find out.
We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami.
So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles.
Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas, and everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal.
So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
Drive happy with free fuel for a year with CIBC First Caribbean and Esso. Use your CIBC First Caribbean Visa debit or credit card to fuel up with $25 or over at any participating Esso service station, and you are automatically entered for a chance to win the grand prize and weekly prizes of $200 in fuel or cash. Offer runs until March 20th, 2022. Terms and conditions apply. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more details. Esso brand is a trademark of ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
Do you know you can get your business cards designed and printed for as low as 18 cents a card? If it's a poster you want, you can pay as little as $6 a square foot. If your print needs are short or long run, digital printing, wide format, or print consultation, call the best. Call Print Masters. Print Masters' goal is to provide its clients with the highest level of personal, professional service at an affordable price. Our state-of-the-art technology also makes working together efficient and easy. Laminations, business cards, flyers, posters, window and floor decals are just a few of the digitized print services offered at Print Masters. Call 302-2361, 302-2361, or visit us at the Nassau Guardian Building in Oaksfield. Print with Print Masters.
Good afternoon. This is Heather Hunt, and we are here on the Hit Back on this wonderful and wet and windy Wednesday. We're here talking about the Free National Movement upcoming convention next week. One texter called and asked if my guest and I are being charged by Guardian for the show. Dawn, I guess, doing too much campaigning on the airwaves.
We're talking about the convention this week, so.
So just let me go to the text line, just so people are texting in. Bahamians stayed away, or FNMs did not support the FNM because you did not govern for the small man. What do you think about that, Don?
I think we govern for all Bahamians. I think it's evident by what we're able to do during the COVID-19 crisis. Where we made available through NIB and social services so many services that the public, to quote unquote, the small man didn't have. You have people who weren't eligible for NIB contributions that they got, that we made available, thousands, unprecedented levels of food giveaways, free education at our institutions. And the list goes on. So I think that's not correct. I think we govern for all Bahamians, and persons just, for whatever reasons, decided that they wanted to see a new government. So I disagree with that comment.
All right. Well, we will open the phone call line a little bit later on in the show. We have two more guests that we got to get to. The text line is open. It's 422-4796 for anyone who wants to send in a text message. Later on, we'll open the phone lines. It's 323-6232, 325-4316, or 325-4259. We do have our next guest here ready to go, and he's no stranger to the public, the former MP for the Elizabeth constituency, former Minister of Health. Right now, he's a consultant physician with the Public Hospitals Authority. Dr. Dwayne Sands is here with us. How are you, Dr. Sands?
Good afternoon, and it's a pleasure to be with you.
Yes, it's a pleasure having you. So the topic of the day is FNM Convention 2022 under the theme Forward United. We know that you are running for chairman at the upcoming convention, but can you tell the listeners a little bit about why you're seeking to run in the upcoming convention?
You know, Victor Hugo is credited with the statement that there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. Certainly, there has been a emergence of so many things that will all go well for the people of the Bahamas. I have spoken about the significant events in the history of this great country. Some of the incredible things would be 1967 and majority rule, 1973 and independence, 1992 and deliverance. And now we're looking at 2025, 2026 for the re-emergence of the Bahamas with incredible potential, particularly for young people. And it is so good to be preparing to be a part of that team. Many people look at the Bahamas and wonder will we ever live up to our potential? And as I look and see the pieces coming in the place, I am certainly excited. So convention 2021 or 2022 is exactly the first step in that process.
So the FNM is celebrating its 50th year anniversary of existence. And so, during the convention, reflecting on the past and celebrating achievements, while you, of course, shape the way for the future of the party. In the face of a defeat, such as the one the party experienced in September, is there still a reason now for the FNMs to be celebrating achievements?
Anybody who understands battle recognize that you're truly only defeated if you don't get up. So as the skirmishes continue, sometimes you may not win that particular battle, but if the destination of the war is important, then you fight on. And certainly I believe that this organization is committed to fighting for the advancement of Bahamian people, deepening the democracy, ensuring that this country becomes an inclusive entity for all, not just those that have special privileges. It is, for me, an important belief, an important philosophy that we follow, particularly as I look at the next generation and the generation after. How do we build a country which presents and maintains opportunity for all? That is what this is all about. So defeat is a transient phenomenon.
Well, you asked a good question about how do we build opportunity for all. I mean, you would have heard, I don't know if you were in when we read the text message just a few moments ago, but one texter called message and said that the FNM was voted out because they're not able to govern for the small man. How do you see in being able to convince persons that they are, just as you say, focused on making opportunities for all?
I don't buy premise of the text or the caller. Certainly, if we were to drill down or to unpack the basis of the defeat and be very granular about it, there are some specific things that we should have done differently. Moving forward, if we function as a team, if we function with a collaborative approach to governance, I believe that we will manage to achieve exactly what is needed. And I have no doubt, and let me say that I believe that we are truly at a point where transfigurational or transformational change is in order. And when you look at it and you are preparing to watch this type of change come in, the excitement is infectious. We're already starting to feel it as people prepare to mount up, as they prepare to do the types of things that are needed in order to get people to join the crusade. Join the crusade for, I speak about revolution, I speak about peaceful revolution. And I don't say it for hyperbole, I don't say it because it sounds good. This is the time.
So, Dr. Sands, this revolution of which you speak, some of it, I guess, would have to start at home. And when I say at home, I mean within the party. So I know you've been deputy chairman already, but what do you see yourself doing at home, if you will, to light a fire under this revolution?
When you actually welcome ordinary people with extraordinary ideas into planning a change for the Bahamas, ignoring the has been taken thus far, where we start to tackle the difficult problems, where we no longer kick these problems down the road and say, you know, that's too tough an issue. We don't want to deal with it this year. We're gonna mess with that next year, or we're gonna worry about it with the new administration.
So stop governing, worrying about the next election.
We are going to be governing in a method and in an approach that is appropriate to solve the problems facing Bahamians. And when you take that on, people understand that, hey, this is a practical approach, and these are individuals who are not hedging their bets because some of the things that you are minded to do when you tackle national debt of $10 billion, when you look at the challenges of gender inequality, when you look at challenges with access to capital for young Bahamian entrepreneurs, these are the kinds of things that we need to address. And I think Bahamians are hoping that some government is prepared to take on the difficult jobs. And now, not 10 years from now, not 20 years from now, now.
And so I was going to get right in there. You're the new leader of the FNM, Michael Pintard, elected in the leadership convention in November of 2021. Is he the person that all of the FNMs now need to rally behind and get these exciting and new and revolutionary ideas started and talked about and fleshed out now, and not wait until 3 years from now, getting ready for the next general election? Will he be the one to unite the FNMs around these new ideas?
Simple answer is yes. And, what you need is a person who is willing to consult, to engage, somebody who's willing to welcome persons from all walks of life, from different viewpoints, persons who may not see things exactly as you do. And the goal of the consummate leader, and I believe Michael Pintard has that making, is somebody who seeks consensus, who seeks a position which is built on mutual respect and trust, and doesn't have to have it his way all the time. So that leader and the excitement that has emanated from his election just a few short months ago is absolutely palpable. I guess level of excitement in the Free National Movement in over a decade.
Well, is that excitement, I guess, going to build even more after the convention next week? I expect that it will, with the election of officers. I got a little controversial text here, Dr. Sands, if I could put this one to you. And the texter says, some say Dr. Minnis's mere presence in Parliament undermines the opposition leader Pintard's efforts. I don't think that is true, texter. At the end of the day, Dr. Minnis is a former prime minister, and he's led the party. He's led the party over the last 4.5 years, and of course, although he is the one that was the prime minister at the time, we suffered defeat. The persons and the citizens of Killarney reposed their trust in him, and he is there to serve firstly as their representative. So I don't think, by virtue of his mere presence in Parliament, that he undermines the opposition leader Pintard's efforts. Dr. Sands, what do you think about that text's comment?
Well, I think that it is difficult to diminish the significance of any previous prime minister, whether you refer to the living prime ministers, Christie, Ingram, or Minnis. They have all played larger than life roles in the governance of the Bahamas, and as such, a significant amount of attention is paid to them. However, when a newcomer arrives, you have to carve out his own piece of that legacy. And I certainly don't believe that any of the others had any great difficulty creating their own history. Ingram certainly didn't, Christie certainly didn't, Minnis certainly didn't. And Philip Brave Davis is attempting to create his own legacy. And Michael Pintard, similarly, if given the chance, as I believe he will in a few short years, will make history in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Indeed. Dr. Sands, there's still a very high anti-FNM sentiment out there. Obviously, elections were just a few months ago. Not enough time has passed. It's still raw. The cut is still raw, if you will. One texter is actually saying that now that we're in opposition, you're in opposition. It's so easy to make comments, but of course, when you're in opposition or in government, you're not as vocal as you are in the opposition. So after this convention and after the election of officers, how do you see the FNM being vocal as opposition, but convincing the Bahamian people that this will not change, perhaps when they are successful at another time in the future?
I think the person that would have sent in that note would probably not be fully cognizant of the system of governance to which we adhere. And, there is a limit to what you say or can say when you are part of government. Have, by convention, one option, and that is to resign. That doesn't mean that behind the scenes you're not actively engaged in dialogue. In opposition, yes, you are probably open to comment, but do not suggest for 1 minute that you have changed in any way. It's simply that you're playing by a different set of rules, as it were. The rules of governance applies opposition, apply to those in opposition. And if we are going to engage by the rules, then the thrust and parry, as it were, is a little bit different. The Free National Movement, now some 4 or 5 months in opposition, must go back to the Bahamian people and identify and claim challenges in the previous 4 years. It has to acknowledge its weaknesses. It has to acknowledge its frailty. It has to acknowledge where it was not up to par. And then, after a full-throated acknowledgement of what went well, the Free National Movement should then demonstrate that it has a vision for the way forward. And the people of the Bahamas will determine whether that vision is sincere, whether they are willing to give that organization or those individuals another chance. And we have seen time after time after time that if there's a level of sincerity in the utterances of those offering to serve, that the Bahamian public has indeed given sequential organizations, FNM, PLP, FNM, PLP, an opportunity. The most recent being a defeated down 35-4, and who is now the government of the Bahamas.
Indeed. Well, one texter, Dr. Sands, says, great show as usual. Question, how big is the rift in the F&M party? And could the majority of people in the party see eye to eye to get back in power? Because being in the opposition is a long time in the wilderness. I guess the question presupposes there is a rift, but is there a rift post the leadership convention? And if so, will the Forward United Convention help to ease that?
I believe that there's something fundamental about Free National Movement, and that is, by definition, is a coalition of forces. And when that coalition is intact, it is an unbeatable organization. That means that the rich, the poor, the black, the white, the wealthy, the business class, the working class, etc., all are united on common themes. These are typically common themes of transparency, accountability, and good governance. These are the overarching principles that unite these forces in this coalition. So I don't think of it necessarily as a rift or a break, except to say that people unite on the basis of ideas. And if those ideas are appropriate and they are compelling, I suspect that we will see the strengthening of that coalition once again. It takes an understanding of what is important to those people that typically join that coalition. It's not handouts, it's not contracts, it is the belief that the country should be well run according to a certain standard of behavior in office. And once that is demonstrated, and that the government will likely be to the good of solving problems which have been entrenched, you will find that many Bahamians gravitate towards that movement. And they don't necessarily have to go on the label of the Free National Movement. If we look at 2017, for instance, you had a number of persons who were admitted supporters of the Progressive Liberal Party, and they supported the Free National Movement going into the 2017 general election. And we've seen this a number of times before. I suspect that we will see it again.
Yeah, and you would have seen third person support independents and third parties too, all on the hope of achieving the the common loftier goals, if you will.
What do Bahamians want? Bahamians want a bright future, not necessarily for themselves, but for their children and their grandchildren. Bahamians want to feel as if they are part of the economy and the expansion of this country, that their concerns are considered as we discuss what's happening with the environment, how we manage our cultural project. When we look at the deeply patriotic and the concern that persons would make decisions without reference to what is important to Bahamians will get you fired as a government. And believe me, Bahamians are pretty serious about that,
Well, I think we just had a good example of it in September of 2021.
Amen.
But Doc, having been one of the casualties of war of September 2021, you're back into your practice and you have an opportunity to retreat into private life again. Although, of course, I know your heart is still close to Elizabeth, but you really have by virtue of being fired, if you will, you have an opportunity. Why why come back out into the front line in opposition to seek to now be the chairman of the Free National Movement?
I think that's a fundamental question. And in prayer, I ask my God, why me? Why is there this urge to engage? Why is there this compulsion to get involved in the national affairs? And there is no knight in shining armor that will come in. Each of us will have to participate in national development. Each of us will have to do our part to make this country a better place, respectfully, but passionately, deliberately, and aggressively. See movement as the vehicle, the preferred vehicle for improvement. That has been the historical norm, except for perhaps 1 or 2 years in the early or late 60s. And subsequently, there is no doubt that the heavy lifting in national development has been done through the instrument called the Free National Movement. I do not surrender that belief at all. And as I look at my country, that I love dearly, I am going to give it my best shot with all of my energy, all of my heart, all of my love, to make this country as good, as strong, as resilient a country. And, the role of chairman will allow me to ensure that every organ in this party is prepared for the task that awaits us.
Well, Dr. Sands, if we can just take a few moments to stay tuned to the 5 o'clock news, and we can pick this back up again just on the other side of the news break.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.
Fidelity, we're good for you. We believe in relationship banking. We take pride in getting to know our clients. You have access to knowledgeable, approachable ambassadors and financial coaches so that we can recommend the best product for you. At Fidelity, we care about you. From your financial health to your physical health, we can relate to you because we're just like you. Come and start your relationship banking experience with us today. Visit us online at fidelitygroup.com. Visit any of our branches in Nassau or Grand Bahama, or phone 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 for Freeport.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Good afternoon. My name is Heather Hunt, and we are here on the Hit Back on this wonderful Wednesday. You know, we are having a political conversation this afternoon, and we left off the Free National Movement, one of the Free National Movement chairman candidates, Dr. Dwayne Sands. Before we pick that conversation back up, I do want to say that There are other persons vying for the chairmanship position. Ellsworth Johnson is also vying for the position of chairman, and so is Michael Folks. Their schedules could not permit them to be on, but I hope before convention they would have an opportunity, if not to speak with me on this show, they will be making the rounds and speaking to the public and to the delegates. So there's several persons vying for all of these positions. But Dr. Sands, just before I let you go, you are here and one of the leading voices on the COVID pandemic, and I just wanted to put a question to you in relation to COVID. What's happening now? You see, for example, the FNM putting on a hybrid convention with 2 nights virtual and 1 night in person. And everyone in the Bahamas has had to adapt because of COVID. So now we're remote learning, remote working, virtual this and virtual that. Are we stuck with this now? Getting better? Should we be asking for more relaxation of restrictions, or this still isn't over yet, Doc?
I don't think we are out of the woods yet. Clearly, there are some indicators that things are improving, but with the less than ideal level of vaccination in the country, I don't think that some of the flexibility that some other countries have been able to adopt is an option for the Bahamas. We're at 40% vaccination. Yes, we've had a significant number of our people that have been infected with COVID, but we don't know what that is going to mean if and when the next wave, the next variant arrives. We're all sick and tired of COVID. We are sick and tired, and yet being sick and tired doesn't mean that we don't have to deal with it any further. So the admonition remains. Let's practice the social distancing and mask wearing and hand washing or hand sanitization. Let's get vaccinated. Numbers in New York City with hospitalization of people who were vaccinated as compared to those non-vaccinated was at a factor of 40 to 50 to 1. So people that were not vaccinated were 45 times more likely to be hospitalized and subsequently to die. You had a number of people that have died during the Omicron wave in the Bahamas. That's the untold story. We have sick patients at our various hospitals now, and this is supposed to be the milder wave. So let's stay focused. Let's remain disciplined. Let's get vaccinated, and hopefully we can put this behind us sometime soon.
All right, Dr. Sands, I would just like to take one call. We have a call on the line before we let you go. Good afternoon, caller. Thanks for calling the Hit Back.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good day.
How are you?
Hello?
Yes, it is.
Okay, is Dr. Sands still there?
I'm still here.
Hey, Dr. Sands, you're still there. How you all doing?
Not bad at all. That
okay,
that
this is the blind one, Papa. Huh?
Hi,
I'm
Papa.
still
How
here.
you doing? Hi, Papa.
Okay, Heather. I wanted to find out something from Dr. Sands, but whilst I was on hold, and you went to the news, and he was talking about how the PLP have this 10% VAT on the bread basket items, the medicine, and the insurance. They was things them, in spite of us had the almost 12.5% or 50% VAT. They wasn't. I don't think they was taxed, and the people crying, and we feeling it, especially us. We feel kind of insulted in a way. Who voted for this New Day government? Dr. Sands and Dr. Minners was expressing it and explaining and talking about how some people still waiting to get paid from beach and parks and stuff like that. And Alfred says he stand up and he say the majority of people being paid and all that stuff and different things. But I don't think he's 100% correct. But Dr. Sands, people is feeling the pressure right now from that same. It's like. Either they think all are stupid or don't have. We not. Let me say it this way: we partly educated, so they think telling us they move it from 12.5%, and putting 10% on the things where we need, like canned goods and baby seed. You know, I mean, and it's about the needy. But Dr. Sands, do you still feel the same way you felt when the news was talking about Prime Minister Davis acknowledging that he break the curfew or something like that to the funeral? And some people say, we think like he put his foot in his mouth when he said that, either trying to make himself relevant, knowing that former Prime Minister Christie's then, you know, he just draw the crowd like that. But I'm trying to find out from you, Dr. Sands, if you still feel like he should have resigned, because a lot of us just feel like that was overboard. Like even former Prime Ministers say it ain't that bad. But Dr. Sands, when they make you resign or fire you and let you go and you step down, different from I felt like yes, Dr. Minnis should have taken it, but you were the best person for the deal with the job right then, and that was kind of confusing. But not just resign. I felt like you did something wrong. It was a fine, just like the coconut guys. They pay a fine. You should have paid a fine, not just resign. Keep up the good work, Dr. Sands. Thank you, Heather.
So I guess Papa's question was asking for the resignation too much.
You know, at the end of the day, the issue was raised. Did the Prime Minister mislead the people of the Bahamas? Did he do so deliberately? Did he do so accidentally? Did the Minister of Health do so? And, you know, when a elected official misleads the public, it interferes with public trust in governance or in government. And without trust in government, countries can't be run. And so the issue is a topical one in countries around the world. It's certainly topical in Great Britain right now. It's topical in the United States. And I do not back down points that I raised in my discussion.
Well, Dr. Sands, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show with me this afternoon to discuss the F&M convention, going ahead, forward, united, coming up next week. Any particular closing words that you wish to say before we leave?
Well, certainly there are a number of delegates who will have the privilege of voting. And I look forward to not only your support, but your vote as your next chairman for this great free national movement. For those who don't have the privilege of voting, certainly your kind words to those delegates would be most welcome. And just want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to join you on your show today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sands.
Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's still a lot for us to talk about. Like we said, you know, we have persons running for chairman of the Free National Movement. You would have heard from Dr. Sands, but there are Ellsworth Johnson is also running for chairman, and Michael Folks. And then hopefully next week we get to hear from one or two of them. I'm pleased to be joined, though, in studio with another candidate. He is a newcomer to, and I know that word, I use that word deliberately because it has been thrown at him quite a bit, but the newly minted MP for the St. Anne's constituency, counsel and attorney. He's very well known in public service in his capacity as a former president of Rotary, and that's well-known service club. We have Mr. Adrian White, MP for St. Anne's, with us. Wonderful to have you here.
Thank you very much, Heather. I'm here on Hit Back, and I'm happy to be with Heather.
Oh, isn't that so wonderful? I need to coin that as a little jingle.
Happy with Heather.
Happy with Heather. You know, it's very difficult to coin these things sometimes, but you know, the most effective ones come out naturally, just like that one.
Amen.
So we happy with Heather, and Heather is happy to have you here to talk about, firstly, the F&M convention. Now you are you're a new candidate. Well, you were a new candidate in the last election, and before that, you hadn't run in frontline politics. So prior to your election, did you ever see or even plan that a few months later we'd be here and you'd be running for deputy leader of the Free National Movement?
No, I don't come up with the plan. I just follow the path. And that's the way that I've come to where I am today, and that's the way that I'm going to continue to go forward We had Bishop Clare in the House of Assembly today. He started off having some very difficult times, disturbing news he received. But what he told us in the House of Assembly today at the beginning, before he led us in prayer, was that winners never quit and quitters never win.
So how have you found, being an MP so far? You've made a few very impactful contributions so far in the House of Assembly. I'm particularly moved by your comments and contribution with respect to the reduction or the implementation of 10% on breadbasket items when there was none before. How have you found, your first few maiden speeches? Are you taking your stride? You finding it and you're becoming more accustomed now to operating in the House of Assembly?
I'm having the time of my life. I still suffer from what we all learn in high school or feel when we go up on a stage to perform, butterflies, but they always pass. And what I realized, it's not butterflies inside my tummy anymore, it's sparks. And those sparks lead to the fire that's coming. So I have confidence in God. And I have a great time in the House of Assembly. I have respect for all of my members, including, most importantly, our leader, Michael C. Pintard.
Well, while we are on you in the House of Assembly, and one of the previous callers just mentioned the very, very serious topic about people feeling the pinch of this imposition of VAT on breadbasket items. And we're also seeing in the news every day or every other day now the warnings of increased food prices and inflation, and persons being warned that, very shortly your money won't be able to buy everything that you used to buy before. What are your views on that? I know you'd have spoken very passionately about, just how much $10 or whatever your money is can buy you now in the Bahamas. Speak to us a little bit about that.
The imposition of 10% on breadbasket items was an unfortunate ripple effect of this current administration's plan to adjust the value-added tax rate across the board. Unfortunately, they didn't campaign on that as being a consequence of decreasing tax from 12% to 10%. But every family now is feeling it. And there's, people say it's come down on everything else. But the reality is families aren't buying everything else. Families are taking that paycheck and stretching it. Even myself, I have a wife and 2 sons. They're all dependents. We all depend on each other to make sure that our money stretches. We have BPL bills to pay. We have cable Bahamas televisions bills to pay. Some families have water. We have a water pump in our house, so fortunately we don't have to pay water. And we're not paying a mortgage right now. But that's still, if you're not tight with your money and how you spend your money, how you save your money, and how you don't spend beyond your means, that's the biggest problem for everybody. You're going to have a hard time when you go in that grocery store. And when you can find items that are discounted because there's not value-added tax on top of it, those are the items that you're going to stock up on. Families go to the convenience store, the mom-and-pop store, every day sometimes in certain communities. And that's because the money to buy those foods that they're going to feed their family that night and the next morning comes from the day's work that they've just completed before knocking off, say, around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So VAT on breadbasket items was not well timed, and it's only going to become tougher for us Bahamian people.
Mr. White, you had a comment, for example, in the newspaper this morning by Michael Pintard, who was decrying or claiming that the government has to do more to give food assistance to people. And he cited his own constituency, Marco City, as an example of where he's seeing more persons come to him seeking food assistance. So either in your capacity as an MP, I wonder if you see the same thing happening in St. Anne's, and if not in that capacity, I know you are participants in service clubs, if you're feeling a demand already, or if this is just something that's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, in St. Anne's, one of the things that we've done is we have a quiet food campaign where we seek donations from wholesalers as well as from donors financially or in kind. And we don't advertise it, but we try to have some food supplies in the office so that persons that are in true need can receive something, because there can be people that are in desperate conditions. And it happens in St. Anne's as well. This isn't a situation that's felt only in certain constituencies. St. Anne's feels everything. St. Anne's experiences everything. And we have to look out for the people that depend on our country, to either provide them with education, provide them with a job opportunity, employment opportunity. And now, unfortunately, there's even more demand and need for whatever reason on resources to help sustain their families at the food table.
It is indeed such a very difficult time for a lot of people. So, as the MP for St. Anne's, and like we said, your maiden entrance into the House of Assembly, you could have just sat down and decided, well, let me see how the land lays, let me take my time, get accustomed to this, get used to my constituents. But now you're offering to take on the party, if you will, under the leadership of Michael C. Pintard. Why aspire to be deputy leader at this time when you can pay more attention, perhaps, to your constituents and strengthening your own new political career?
Now is the time. Tomorrow is promised to no man. In the Bahamas, we say, God spare life, we'll see you again. And I don't have time to wait. I'm 43 years of age. I have children that are in their teens already, and I have a spouse that's been married to me for over 16 years. I put in my time waiting. Just because you haven't seen me standing in the same line as you have been getting up to things, creating my own business, employing persons, participating in community through Rotary Club of East Nassau, attending my St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. Just because you're seeing me now doesn't mean that I wasn't around. You just weren't looking at me. And you're looking at me now, and I'm going to continue to go forward. I said earlier at the beginning of this interview that I don't come up with the plan, I just follow the path. Mm-hmm. And if you look at where I've come to from starting my own firm in 2014, becoming Rotary president in the Rotary year 2020, 2021, you'll realize that that on itself wasn't meant to be. I was supposed to be Rotary president this year. Tanya McCartney was supposed to be the Rotary president the year that I was going to be Rotary president. And because of work commitments, she stepped aside. That moved me up, lined up right in time for elections a few years down the road. And the Honorable Brent Simonet approached me and asked if I'd be interested, and I was, because at the time I was the chairman of the St. Anne's Constituency Association, putting in good work for the Free National Movement. But continuing on the path that I'm doing, I don't have the privilege to turn my back on opportunities. And I don't encourage any person, young or old, to turn their back on opportunities. Someone tells you, hold on, you can decide to do that, but that's not what I'm going to do. You see people talking about being a servant leader, and I know there's great purpose behind the phrase being a servant leader and what that means. When I'm on the campaign trail, I'm a servant leader because then I'm listening to you. I'm hearing the issues. But when I'm elected, I'm a warrior leader. I'm going in there to battle every day in the House of Assembly. I'm going there to battle on the instructions that were given to me during the campaign trail. And I can't back down in this lifetime. I'll be old in a few years.
But Adrian, you're hitting something really close to home for me, because why is it that people, I don't know if it's culturally or if it's entrenched in parties or just generally, but why do people believe that we have to, young people in our age bracket, have to wait our turn? I would ask a lot of persons, senior politicians, how would you let persons who've served in leadership basically serve their time and yours? And I've never really had anyone give me a real clear response to that. Like, we just allow persons to serve our time.
Yeah, and that's it. Because when we had that opportunity, we allowed someone else to go first. We allowed someone else to go to that opportunity. You may have even been at that opportunity first. You may have been knocking on that door, opening that window to go through. But someone else told you, hold on. And then right then and there, when you held on, somebody else had it. Somebody else's futures was changed while yours remained the same. I'm not here to rock any boats. I'm here to raise tides.
So what do you mean when you say raise tides? How would you do? I mean, what are you thinking, and what does that really mean?
What that means to me is that I am a team player overall, but I'm going to take every opportunity I have, because in this life, I only have a certain amount of time. And if I allow my spirit, if I allow my motives, if I allow my opportunities to dwindle or to be dampened like a candle, they may go out. And that's not the way that I'm coming into this game. I'm not coming into this game to go out. I'm coming into this game to go forward, and go forward united.
So how will you help to unite? I mean, clearly the party that you now serve under, and I guess you are aspiring to become the deputy leader, has gone through a tumultuous time. with such an aggressive and a very clear mode of conduct now. You basically saying I'm coming in to do and seize every opportunity. Is that going to help unite the Free National Movement?
It should not only help unite the Free National Movement, but it should help to awaken the Free National Movement. And that is what we need in our party right now. We've got a great leader in Michael C. Pintard. I mean, the guy has been an activist his entire life, and now he has the opportunity to, in a controlled manner, be that activist. He has always wanted to see change. He's always had an ambition to make sure that things that were wrongs would not continue. And when he becomes Prime Minister of this country, he is going to right a lot of the things that need to be righted in this nation. And I intend to serve him, not to replicate him. I intend to be by his side. I intend to be by the side of our MCMs, be by the side of our party officers, be by the side of our associations throughout the Family Islands. I've served as chairman of the FNM Association. I've attended the FNM chairman meetings. I hear what gets said there, and I know the difficulties that are experienced in our Family Islands. This past weekend, I was in Long Island and had a great time. I was only there for 2 days. I went down to attend the funeral for the young Trevon Roxbury gentleman. Great service, good pastor, lovely Anglican church. That was my first time down in Long Island. You know what I did after that service? I went down with the same forward momentum that I do and adopt in all parts of my life. I went down to Dean's Blue Hole, which is very close to Deadman's Key Airport. I took my F&M shirt off, I took my jeans off, I took my shoes off, I took my socks off, and I dove right in. And I swam out to that platform. I don't like dark water, okay? I grew up with Jaws on the TV all the time. But I knew that what I'm doing, I have to go all in. And I went all in, went out to the deepest part, climbed on the platform, jumped off, and returned to shore. Because everything I'm doing this time in my life, it may not be the right move in everybody's eyes, but I'm going all in. And I want the people, the voters, to go all in with Adrian.
All in with Adrian. Now, that's one. See, you're getting all these slogans. I got to write them down. So when it's time for me to think of another one for myself. But Adrian, the Free National Movement is celebrating 50 years. And, you would have said your age. I'm just a little bit younger than you, so I'm not looking to catch you up. But how important is it for persons like us and everyone out there to reflect on the importance of celebrating 50 years as a party, honoring the past and celebrating the achievements of the Free National Movement?
We have to always celebrate ourselves, whether it's the Free National Movement, whether it's any of our athletes returning home from country, whether it's any of our students that are excelling overseas or even at home. We have to always celebrate. We go to church to celebrate. We don't go to church to feel bad. We go to church to celebrate and praise God. And that's when we're at our best, when we can have positive energy running through us, celebrating 50 years, celebrating 49 years. Next year, we'll be celebrating 51 years. We always have to feel good about ourselves because that's the positive energy that's going to move us forward together, onward and upward. It was in our Constitution when it was created, our motto. That's what we need to look at every day. Say your prayers at night, wake up to our national motto, and get on with the job that you're responsible for doing as an adult or as a child.
So then, in the event you're successful and you're the deputy leader, we're not licking our wounds, we're not being negative, worrying about woulda, shoulda, coulda, but we're bringing this positive energy to focus on what's moving ahead. So no more negative Nancy's, I guess. If you want to stand still in life, if you want your party to stand still in life, focus on the negative. I'll hear you screaming in my ear or talking behind my back. That's where you are. That's not where I am. I'm moving forward. So in moving forward, Adrian White, what do you see for the FNM, say in the next 3 years?
For the FNM in the next 3 years, I see all of the speculation about leadership battles fading away. I see an FNM represented by 7 members of Parliament in the House of Assembly beginning to go after the PLP government, and the PLP government showing the true nature, which is one that has led them to be voted out of office now more times than the FNM. And I can see that our 4 senators in the Senate will be an opportunity for more of our young persons, more of our standouts in the party, more of our committed national representatives being given the opportunity to lead this nation at the legislative level and doing a great job.
So far, I mean, you know, you're talking about doing a great job in the House of Assembly. You haven't had too much to delve into. I mean, is that what are your views on that? Has the government really been aggressive in putting forward any legislative agenda? You know, we would have spoken about that earlier. Some say that they are just picking up the low-hanging fruit, the leftover things that we would have left on the table, and now they're able to continue it and carry on. But what do you say about that?
What I say is that I haven't seen a legislative agenda yet. So now we're in the beginning of 2022. We haven't received a document. And this is my first time in the House of Assembly, so this may be an unusual expectation. But we haven't seen a document that say that in the month of January we're going to be doing these bills. The month of February, these bills march all the way through December, to give us an idea of what we're getting onto. The more notice you have of what legislation is coming up, the more research you can do to make sure that your debate contribution is actually important, impactful, and on point. We get legislation right now that's tabled in the House. We might get notice of it the day before it's tabled. By our parliamentary rules, we have at least a day between the day that it's tabled before we have to begin debating on it. Normally, we adjourn for a month. So it would be good to know what we're doing so that all of us can prepare, so that our constituents can come to us and say, you know, this is something that I've been waiting to see for a long time. But our constituents have to realize that they don't need to wait to see what is going to come. They can even come to their member of parliament and say, we need some legislation on this. I really want you to put something forward in the House and try to get it passed. Even members of the opposition can put forward legislation, table legislation in the House of Assembly, but not to try to attack the PLP or talk bad about them too much. Don't think I've done that yet. They've been putting pieces of legislation in the House, important ones that they had in their blueprint for change, as well as important ones for the nation. I think, though, that we could be doing more. Maybe I'm just too excited about where I am right now, but I think doing more is what we need to do. And if people can't keep up with doing more, take a step to the side and let some of the younger generation, or let some of the older generation that have been waiting in that line to step in and allow this nation to keep moving forward.
You know, speaking about doing more, it was very interesting to me about the moves about Parliament and funding Parliament and modernizing Parliament. And I know you know, I guess you're coming in at a time when there's actually real hope of modernization to the Parliament. But what would you see, having been there just a few months, what do you think about the prospects of modernizing our Parliament, making moves towards it being truly independent?
Personally, I think that I'm very new to what everybody else who's been elected more than once has dealt with and experienced. I appreciate that with the legislation to provide access to handicapped persons and our House of Assembly, especially the second floor, not yet having a facility to take people upstairs. They would have to, if they ever wanted to, sit in either the majority room or the minority room. We need to make improvements like that all of our facilities, particularly our government ones, have full access and meet all of the laws that are in place right now. But I don't wait too long in the discussion about parliamentary salaries or parliamentary locations. Yes, the judiciary, the House of Assembly, the Senate should have some independence from cabinet. And because of our Westminster system, we have members of parliament that get elected into government, first past the poll, and then the prime minister forms his cabinet. And then we have a big cabinet right now. We've had maybe bigger ones in the past and some that are almost the same size. But all of those cabinet ministers who started off as MPs, became cabinet ministers, say, in the week after the election, they now are making the legislation. They're basically presenting it. The MPs are going along with it. And when the government controls the seats in the House by the majority that they now hold, anything essentially that comes out of cabinet is likely to be approved and moved through. That's our system. Mm-hmm. Having a new facility, I spoke to that. Parliamentary salaries. Everybody wants to have an increase in salary.
Should we have an increase in salary?
I would say that everybody should. Everybody should where it can be accounted for and accommodated. The money, though, has to match the work rendered.
So when you say everybody should, you meaning minimum wage? Or you talking everybody should, from a parliamentarian perspective?
Everybody should. So parliamentarians, minimum wage, all of those things should be reviewed. The only reason, one reason maybe that we're still stuck on parliamentarians getting more money, that we're still stuck on workers receiving a higher minimum wage, is because the country either isn't being managed in the most efficient manner, so that's not economically possible, or because we just generally don't want to move past the point where we've been in for the last number of years. If Parliament can do things that match the amount of their salary, and those things actually impact the country and improve the standard of living of everybody, everybody's winning.
Everybody would be winning. But, persons say, well, you have your constituency allowance, you're able to spend that in the community, and basically you knew exactly what the salary was when you got in or when you aspired to come in. So, parliamentarians should be the last persons asking for a salary increase. My particular view on that is, one, that it hasn't increased for many, many years. And I think if there was a salary commensurate to the actual amount of time that you spend serving, you'd get better, I think, value for that money, to the extent that persons may not treat it as a part-time job. That's the bottom line. If you're paid as a part-time work, I think you get exactly what you pay for.
Yeah. There's an argument. You started off by saying, well, you knew what the salary was. When I hear someone talking about, well, they're already sort of bringing the discussion down a little bit, and I'm not into that. That's your business. Well, that is how you want to be. You don't want to move it forward. The parliamentarian salaries, yes, they were known before coming in. There's an argument as well as the amount going into the constituencies. Now, I think there was some confusion by members of the public about this increase in the constituency allowance. That is something that isn't going to go to the member of parliament's pocket. That's going to go into do improvements in the constituency. Right now, a lot of constituencies are having to use their capital grant money just to mow lawns, mow verges. 5 years' time, you look around, that grass is still growing just like it was before. There hasn't been enough resources to do any project improvements, whether it's to parks, whether it's to a community center, whether it's to a scholarship program or otherwise. So parliamentarian salaries is different and separate and apart from the capital grant money. Communities can use more money. If the government's using money to do a travel expense or do something that isn't necessary, let's reallocate the money to something that's important, and that's improving our communities for all of our constituents. But the main argument about increasing salaries for parliamentarians is that once you listen to a member of parliament in the House of Assembly, you're going to find someone who's going to say, oh, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. We need to get real people in there. We need to get business people in there. Business people might come in if they're going to make more money, or they may not come in. But the point is that salaries for everyone in the country, if we can move this country forward, is the proper thing to do. I don't need the increased salary for parliamentarians. That's not what I'm about. But at the same time, I'm not going to say no to myself just the same way I wouldn't say no to my constituents' pocket.
Well, thank you so much, Adrian. We have a call on the line. I'd like to take that call. Caller, thanks for calling the Hit Back.
Good evening. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Great. Sorry, I have my mask on. I've been listening to the gentleman speaking. So this I'm an FNM a long time. I'm one of those that did not go to the polls. I'm one of those. But listening to, that's Mr. White?
Adrian White, yes, sir.
Yes, yeah. Listening to him, it sounds like he's really in this for himself and his family, according to what he is saying. He said he's in this game. And it really sounds like this thing is a game. And he said he's in this game.
I don't recall saying I'm in a game, sir.
Yeah, you said yes. You said game. You used the word game.
Okay.
And he also said, he spoke about, I'm not hearing him representing the people. He's representing himself. He said, I'm at an age now, and my children are at an age and that he's in this game. And that sounds like what this really all about. He has no humility. He's speaking with serious aggression, and it really doesn't come off well of his representation of the people. He's just representing himself and his own personal gain. That's how it sounds.
Have you seen me?
Thank you so much, caller. We'll let you hang up and then just have a comment on that. So, Mr. White, if you wish.
That's his interpretation of the words that I'm saying, and I'm not going to pull back any of the words. I don't recall ever saying game. This is not a game. I may be coming at it aggressive, and I'm not going to apologize for doing that. I'm not going to lie about the family I have. I know the family I have. I take care of the family that I have. I'm not going to apologize for that. Persons want people to be humble, then that's great. That's good. I can be humble, but the way that I'm coming into this opportunity, into Parliament, is one where I'm coming to do the work. I'm buckling down. My socks are up high. My shoes are on tight. There's 5 years. 1 year is going to be probably distracted by re-election campaign efforts. But I'm not tippy-toeing. I don't think that a nation of 300 plus, maybe 400,000 people has elected 39 people into the House of Assembly to tippy-toe, take their time, drag their feet. That's not a misinterpretation in my mind. That's probably just something that's never been said that way before.
So aggressive action and warrior mentality is what's needed right now.
Yeah. Warrior mentality.
Warrior, yes.
We had a leader that threw the mace, which represented the crown, which represented the governor general. We had a leader that threw the mace out of the House of Assembly. We had another leader in Cecil Wallace Whitfield who had to dodge someone approaching him outside of the House of Assembly with a knife, attempting to cut at him or even stab him. So I don't know where people are today, and maybe that's one of the roots of our problem, is we think that things need to be moving slowly.
Have we become too passive, Adrian White? I mean,
Yeah.
where are the
Yeah, we've become too passive. You look at our nation, we've got great leaders, but who do we talk about? We talk about Mia Mottley from Barbados. Why are we talking about someone from another country? Why don't we talk about our people? Why don't we talk, if you're saying we talk about Mia Mottley because she's a woman and she's talking the truth, she's saying it how it is, she's got international recognition. We can do that right here in this country. We're doing it in this country. Let's promote our people. Okay. When I was in the House of Assembly today, the Prime Minister talked about his recent trip to the COP forum and talked about the creation of a committee of environmental youth leaders. And Maya Delaney was one of two that were given a position, I think, in that committee. But that committee was then to be chaired by Ruby Nottage. Now, I've been an attorney since 2001, and I've heard Ruby Nottage's name as an attorney. I've heard her name to several posts. And, I think that if we're having a committee of youth for the environment, let one of the younger people chair that. They may not have the experience, they may not have the expertise, but you'll be impressed with what our young people can do. They don't need to wait until they're 40 with young persons of their own to have an opportunity. Let them run with the opportunity, and I would support if the PLP wants to do it, the Prime Minister wants to do it, there's a still Governor General position open. Maybe that's where Ruby Nottage should go.
On that, let me just read these texts. I don't agree with the comments of the gentleman about Mr. White. We as Bahamians are concerned about putting everyone in a box. You keep pushing, Mr. White. I'm impressed by your presentation this evening. Don't let anyone dim your light.
Amen. Thank you.
Another text. I appreciate the candor from Mr. White. We need serious representation, and I think that Mr. White is exhibiting this in his ideas and in his speech today. So let's go to the phone lines. We have another caller. Good afternoon. You're on the Hit Back.
Hi, good afternoon. How y'all doing?
Good. How you doing? Thanks for calling.
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good.
Interesting conversation. I just want to say from the start, I disagree with a lot of the sentiments expressed early on in the conversation. However, and even with some of the sentiments being expressed by Mr. White, but at the same time, I also called to speak as someone from the opposing side, who, as far back as I know, myself, my entire life, I've been on the opposing side of Mr. White. But I've been listening to his public statements in Parliament and outside of Parliament wherever I can. And I'd like to disagree with the caller who claimed to be an F&M, who made the position that Mr. White expressed sentiments that were selfish about himself and his family. As a matter of fact, I got quite the opposite listening to you, Mr. White. And I believe that if the country as a whole could develop our democracy to the point where we can acknowledge reality and truth wherever we see it, I believe that that would bear well and that would bode well for the advancement and the development of our people and taking us to where we need to be as a whole, rather than looking at the individualistic perspective. And so, as someone from the opposite side, looking from the outside in, Mr. White, and to all F&Ms listening, I would encourage you all to pay close attention to the utterings of Mr. White. I think he's on good ground, and I think if you all listen very closely, you all will come to the same conclusion at the end of the day. Thank you for the opportunity. God bless.
Thank you so much, caller. Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. White. Another texter says Mr. White is right. We need upright, independent, and fearless leaders. The mace was thrown out of the window, but now it's bolted down. We have become too complacent, and this is why we are hurting too much.
This is true. We have inspirational men and women that have taken this country to a point of independence and beyond. 50 years for the F&M. We're almost the same for our nation as a independent nation. We wonder sometimes, how come we're not as far ahead as other nations are? I think we're on par or ahead of most of our Caribbean nations, but we came into independence at the same time as several other nations around the world. Some of them haven't fared as well as we have. Others, like Singapore, have exceeded us to date. We have this expression in this country, island time. And I think this idea of island time is not applicable or is not really the true explanation of why we're where we are now. But when I'm in this House of Assembly, I know that I have 5 years right now. I may not have another 5 years after this 5-year period, but I look at it as though it's not too late to hit the restart button. And I don't mean begin everything over again, but I mean renew your vigor for the independence of this country and the greatness that it could be. We're smack dab between North America, in the middle of Central America, and South America. We are primed to be the capital of the Americas. Shipping ports, tongue of the ocean. We have our own sea, Lucayan Sea. We haven't really called it or recognized it that yet. We've got the U.S. Military with their testing sites off of Andros. We have more than we have fully understood. And we have some of the greatest people in the world. You go to our family islands today, and you can't really walk down or drive down the road without somebody hailing you. We got to go back to what it means to be Bahamian, how it means, what it is to be polite to one another, what it means to be industrious, and what it means to be loyal to our country. Yes, we have different political views, but what is most important is loyalty to our country, discipline, and industry. And we can do it. We can hit that reset button for this next generation. My generation, all of the persons that are coming after me, can send this country forward to heights never known, unknown, and not yet met. It's all about our future, and it's going to be a future united.
Thank you so very much. We're going to take this short commercial break, and we'll be back here with the Hit Back.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Burger King Nassau is taking spice to new heights with the new Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken Sandwiches. Enjoy your choice of a flame-grilled Whopper or crispy chicken filet topped with chipotle sauce, guacamole, jalapenos, cheese, lettuce, tomato, all on a fresh potato bun. The new Baja Sandwiches at Burger King Nassau pack plenty of flavor, and with an ice-cold Pepsi and fries or onion rings, it's the perfect way to fill your day. The Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken Sandwich are only available at Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
When I got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Throughout our lifetime, we must all make decisions. No matter how we choose, the right one just needs to be made. Like having J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers as your insurance partner. We've been serving the Bahamas for over 100 years. Whether you need home, motor, marine, or commercial insurance, make the right decision. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com.
JS Johnson Insurance. Peace of mind.
It's such a wonderful Wednesday here on the Hit Back, and I've been talking with the members of the Free National Movement about the upcoming convention, Forward United. We would have had earlier segment with Mr. Don Saunders. Also, we would have heard from Dr. Dwayne Sands. We now have the pleasure of listening to and speaking with Mr. Adrian White, who is one of the persons vying for deputy chairman. Just like I said earlier, he is not the only person that's vying for the position of deputy leader. Hopefully, before convention, I'm sure the other person vying, the Honorable Shannon Don Cartwright, he is the Member of Parliament for St. Barnabas. He'll be making his rounds to speak to delegates and, of course, the wider community. But, Mr. White, it really has been a wonderful and provocative conversation. And you've actually got a lot of persons calling and texting about your, candor and your actual, what seems to be a focused determination on just jumping right in. Someone else just texted and said, that's advice that we need to be taking for ourselves as individuals. Opportunity knocks and you don't get to decide when opportunity comes. It kind of reminds me of how I first entered in the political arena. And I was pregnant at the time. I was 8 months pregnant at the time. There were so many reasons why I shouldn't have offered myself to run. By the time I was actually nominated, my baby was, 9 weeks old. And I had a conversation with the former prime minister then, and he says, well, you're about to have a baby. You just got, you're just working as a young lawyer. Why is it that you think you should be offered, the nomination? And I said, well, PM, you don't get to pick your time. Your time picks you. And listening to you, it seems just like a rehearsal of that. You don't get to pick your time. If you had to plan it out, you probably wouldn't even be anywhere thinking that deputy leadership would be in contention. But maybe the time has chosen you. What do you?
I definitely think that the time has chosen me, and this campaign, this convention is going to be a success. I'm going to see success. Our Free National Movement members are going to see success, and there are so many persons that have participated within the TYA, within associations, just as our soldiers on the road during campaigns for Free National Movements, the people that go out of their own way to defend the party. And this is the same, whether it's the Free National Movement or the PLP party. But we have positions that are going to be filled, 50 positions in addition to the deputy leadership position. And all of those positions is an opportunity for recognition of that individual to really shine. And we have to make sure as an organization, all organizations need to do this, that every person that's in a position is given the opportunity and the freedom to bring their ideas to the forefront and really make an impact. And it doesn't matter if you're a protocol officer, it doesn't matter if you're a sergeant at arms, it doesn't matter if you're a vice chairman of the party or an assistant treasurer of the party. Let each person that wants to be engaged have the opportunity to make it and to do something with that engagement, that opportunity. We need to look to find out how we can get more people involved. A lot of people don't prefer to sit around and do nothing. They're just not finding the inspiration to get moving. And it's so important that we try to do it not just within the confines of a political organization, but even a community service organization, even in a school association on athletic teams. All of us want the best. I think that many of us, including myself at times, can find that I prefer just to sit down. But that's not why we're here. We're here to make an impact. We're here to improve the situation. We're here to change lives.
We are here to change lives, and I think each person and everyone under the sound of our voice, what is it that we're doing in our own space? Yes, we're talking politics today. Yes, we're talking about the Free National Movement today. But I think a bigger and a higher theme and a takeaway, if you will, from our conversation is that, you have to reflect upon where you are, each one of us as an individual. And when the opportunity comes for you to rise and shine, let your light shine before men, get up and go and do the work, put your hand to the wheel, put your hand to the plow, and just figure out what it is that you were called to do and how do you execute that to the betterment of all of the Bahamian people who are, of course, we are here to serve.
Yeah.
Right, Mr. White?
That's correct. And Heather, you were an inspiration to me. I was a young lawyer at the time that you were putting yourself in the frontline politics, and for a woman to be doing that while pregnant, why you weren't elected, that was our loss. Not just the FNM loss, that was the Bahamian people's loss. We should have women in all offices in the country. I think it's time that we have a woman as our prime minister. There's nothing preventing us besides ourselves saying no. We haven't done that yet. We're not going to do that. And you don't need to be in a position just because of your sex. You need to be in position because of the qualities that you can share with the world and with our country. And when we talk about our country, we're talking about the world because we're a little nation, but we're the best little nation.
Well, women in politics is a subject dear to my heart, dear to my heart. So maybe another time and another place, if I get to be here a couple of more weeks, we get to talk a bit more about women in politics. But for today, it was a wonderful, windy Wednesday. I'm so happy to be here in this space, sharing this energy with you. A wonderful energy brought by Mr. White and my other guests here on the Hit Back. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you here next week. Like Mr. White says, God spare life, like we all say.
Happy with Heather. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.